G'day, Aussie Bonsai Bloke, yeah, how you going? Bloody beauty. Friday, damn it, bloody cheap ton, the ring pull didn't open it up properly, which doesn't add to the good effect. Anyway, got a really exciting day today. We are going to be repotting this olive that I collected. It's been a long time in process. I collected it with Rodney. He knows who he is. About, well, he keeps track of it better than me. I would have said 3 or 4 years ago, but I think it's more like 5 or 6 years ago. I carved this. This could have been that massive carve video I did start to finish, which was a 2-hour video. Go back and look at that one. Carving All You Need to Know or something. I don't know what it was called, but that was about 3 years ago, 3.5. Go back, look at that one. You'll see the carving. When we collected this one, I flat cut the bottom. Anyway, while we talk about it, let's pull it out the pot so you guys can see it. We better just have a sip though. Bloody important stuff, having a bit of ton, have some fun on a Friday. Jeez. I was that excited about having my first sip, I started pouring before I got to my mouth. Alright guys, so we're going to repot this today. I'm going to try and get it out of this pot without wrecking anything. The branches have been allowed to grow ever since it was collected. It's been in the same pot the whole time. Or laundry basket. I'm hoping it comes out fairly easy. If it doesn't, well, yeah, it looks like it will. Question is whether or not I can lift it. I have to try and save some moss because hell awkward. It's not that heavy really, but just very awkward. I mean, it is heavy, don't get me wrong, but bloody awkward. Alright, so let's just give you a bit of a spin now. That's what the tree looks like. As far as styling and that, I'm not going to do much of that. I'm just going to repot it. I want to repot it. I'm really, really keen to get it in a pot, so what I'll do is I'll just collect some of the good moss off the top, and then we'll get it into a different pot. I did go around collecting some moss that I could find in the shade, but it's been about 2 weeks here without any rain and the moss is starting to dry up and go brown. So that's not very good timing for all this repotting that I'm doing. I need some rain to green up the moss. Little worm here, let's save him. Anyway, so what we're going to do, that's the tree, the back, the front. We've got to really make sure that we repot this thing to where I want the front. That's really strange, just put on all this growth in not very much time, and a lot of the old bark, I think because it grew so fast, flaked off the bottom. In fact, a year ago it was all dead smooth again, even though when I collected this one, it actually had the good bark. So we just got to decide which is going to be the front that we like. I suggest that's a back. That could well be a front right there. Looking in there. You get to see a bit of deadwood that way. Originally, where was the front? Probably, well, that's the back, and that looks like a back. So originally, where did I have a front? I don't know. It's one of those trees where you can sort of do the front where you want to do it. The growth of the tree is pretty even all over. We could well do a front here and just chop some branches off. Maybe chop this front one off. Chop, you know, chop one of these back a little bit. And then we've got a bit of a front looking at us. So there's a good option. Chop this one off. Maybe cut these back just a little bit, or maybe not. Might be able to just see enough. But I feel we'd have to cut something there. Here's not a bad front either. Although it's not the widest part of the base. The widest part of the base is there. And if we were to have a front here, the depth of the pot would have to it would have to be a square pot, and I don't have one. And I don't feel like it would actually be quite the best front anyway, because you don't normally have the skinnier part of the tree, even though it's still fat, don't get me wrong. You don't normally have that as the front. So here you could clean off a heap of branches also. Have this as a front, definitely could. Clear these ones out, maybe that one, and have it as a front. Interesting. I feel like so there's another one, and there's also another one. I feel like this gives us the best width with some pretty good branching down there, and we should be good at that. So, and there's some pretty, you know, a few uglier looking branches here that we can chop off so we can see more of the trunk. This way you'll see more of the carding work and deadwood stuff that's been done, and you'll get a full view of the width, and that'll be pretty good. So right, so we are going to do some trimming. I thought this was ready to just put in a pot. Obviously not. So we're just going to do a little bit of trimming, and then we're going to pot it up. Now this was flat cut like I say, so I reckon what I'll do is I'll just take a big cut off the bottom, clean the sides up a bit, hose the top a little bit, and then just put it in a pot with some new soil, and that'll be about it. So yeah, we've decided against that one. So really it's a front there, try and show off some of that deadwood, or a front here. Decisions. I mean, if I got rid of some of these branches now and got rid of that and that, it does actually show a pretty good view of the deadwood from there. Here, maybe not quite so good. Whatever I choose, I've got to make sure I'm, 100% set on it, because if I go here, go chop, 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 you'll be able to see the deadwood, but it might not be the most interesting part of the deadwood. That there looks pretty interesting. Not quite the fattest base, but not far off. Interesting. What about the top? Which way does that lean? It's pretty well stagnant. I reckon the best part of the bottom base with all the hollows and stuff is here. Okay? The best part of the deadwood feature is probably on the other side. Hard for you guys to see it. But here's probably the best of that. Is the base good enough? It's not bad. The thing is, if I go and chop these branches off here, there's a nice live vein which is pretty cool, which runs up to there. And you got to think of that. So if I go and chop this one back and don't allow anything to grow here, what's going to happen is that live vein that runs up here, the only thing it's feeding is this branch. So if I cut that branch, this whole bit dies and becomes dead as well. Now, do I want that? I guess I could ask. Do I want that to be dead, become part of the feature down here? The base is not as good here. And I mean, to be honest, the deadwood is still pretty good up there. So I reckon I've decided if we cut off some of these ones at the front here, there's still enough. It's not going to get rid of any live veins. All it's going to do is get rid of these two trunk branches here, but the live veins are still feeding stuff up the top. So I think we do that. Let's go and get the branch cutter, knob cutter, and do that. Really open it up and show you guys the front that we want. I'll just show you guys up a bit close because I was far away. So we'll chop this one off. Definitely, maybe leave these two. Chop something off here to show the deadwood up there. And the other alternative was through here, but then the base isn't really wide enough. Not quite. Could be done. Definitely could still be done. Best deadwood feature, I believe, is here. But I would have to cut that off, and then this whole section would die. Because that live vein only feeds these bits. So it's just a bit of a recap because I realised you guys were a long way back and probably couldn't see a lot. But it'll make more sense anyway in a second because I've decided now we're going to make this the front. Because that definitely has the most powerful, best base for sure. Alright, let's get the branch cutter. Alright guys, I'm going to have a good sip of beer before I do something hectic like this, so let's have some fun with the ton. Nothing like a Friday night beer. Alright, here goes. I can do this as a cutting as well, which I might do. You know, seems as it, gives you a few years head start on a cutting. Could possibly do that as a cutting and create a little tree out of it. So we'll do that. This one here's got to go too. It's hiding too many of the good features of the deadwood trunk. I'm not going to make cutting out of that, you ugly little bugger. But now you can see all this deadwood feature. So anywhere from here around to here can now be the front. I really like this section. The branching's a bit far back on that side if we do that, but I think it'll be alright. I think what we'll do is we'll maybe make the front around there somewhere, and if that's the case, we want to see that deadwood, so let's cut this one out the way. Sorry mate, but you've got to go. Big cut, I know, but you've got to make these decisions. Now you can start to see that deadwood through there. You don't have to completely open it, but it is pretty open now. You get the idea. So yeah, it's been about 5 years to develop all these branches after collecting it and flat cutting the whole bottom. Probably about here. So we should mark that while I'm thinking of it. Might mark it with this front. Pretty happy with that. Right. So that'll be the front. Happy with that. Could probably Cut that little branch off there. We don't really want it growing in front of all that deadwood. And that's that. So let's now think about what pot we're going to use. So I made those homemade pots and I'm really keen to use them because it's only been a day. I'll just take you guys back a bit. Yeah, that's a really cool front. It gives you a good base and still really good movement and shows some deadwood up the top and a lot of the holes and stuff. Right, so basically the only pot I got big enough is this one here that I made. Okay. Question is though, for the trunk, do you want a smooth sided pot like this, fairly light in colour, for a big tree like that? It'll fit in that pot, I think. Homemade slate pot. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's the last couple of videos. But one thing I do like, is the effect that I got from, obviously this pot's not going to fit it, but the effect from the angle grinder on this pot might really suit this tree and the old gnarly bark and the old holes and stuff. It might suit it better, so I'm thinking on that big pot, let's go outside and do the same effect on that with the angle grinder. Let's do it. G'day guys, welcome back. Well, just want to show you guys my method of cutting back the root ball a bit. I'm not going to go crazy on it because olives, although they're super hardy straight out the ground, okay, here's probably a tip I haven't told you guys yet about olives. And if you think I don't know much about olives, well, you haven't been watching me for very long. But I'm not going to take too much off because one thing I know about olives, because they're evergreen, if you repot them out the ground, they're fine. You can do what you like, flat cut them, no roots at all, which is what happened to this one when it was collected. But now that it has been collected and it's been able to establish in this pot, don't go too hard on your repots, otherwise they will suffer. They can drop nearly all their leaves. They do bounce back, but they don't like it too much. So most of your energy from an olive comes from its very first collection. Just a bit of a tip. Don't go too hard after the initial collection. Alright, so I'm going to cut about a third off the bottom. Okay, just straight up, cut a third off. That's not going too hard. Try and go straight. Should be able to just cut a nice slice of cake off. Because as far as I know, I'll flat cut this up a lot higher than this. So we should be all good to cut off a nice slice of cake. The sort of cake you don't want to eat. Okay, so that's only a third. So you can see that slice of cake there. Just lift that one down, put it on the ground, clean up later. Okay, maybe just cut off the corners a little bit. Each corner, just cut it off a little bit. Doesn't have an overly big amount of roots, considering how long it's been collected for, but that's alright. It's going okay. It's growth every year, it's pretty good. Now, after that initial stuff, you can then decide what you want to do, whether you want to, well, I'm going to do a combination, but you can decide whether you want to do root hook all the way, root hook all the, new roots out. So you can go around, get your bit. You can go around, root hook it all out. Not yet, but in a few years, so anyone that says spraying your pot with a herbicide is bad for the soil, well, we've still got worms like mad in here. A lot of worms. Lots and lots of worms. I'm going to put them all in that pile of dirt on the ground and then put them out in the garden. Put that whole thing out in the garden so that the worms can survive. There is so many worms, like probably be well over 100 worms in this. So then we'll just keep raking it out for the future development. Not so much for now. I'm not going to expose any of these roots because they're not really fat enough. Okay, spin it, tease the roots out a bit, just straighten them. There goes my marker for the front. Just raked it out. Because of winter, I was too lazy to really take much notice of the watering system. Things have been a little bit wet for the winter, but the roots still look healthy, that's alright. But this soil is definitely pretty waterlogged, but olives don't mind a bit of extra moisture. I've seen them growing on the sides of riverbanks completely in the mud. So they're okay with it. Right, so it's probably all we're going to do for this time. I'm going to hose it out now a bit and bring it back. So I'll just go do that. Cheers. G'day guys, welcome back. Well, we've got this root ball cleaned out. You guys have seen the pot get done, so hopefully it matches the tree a little bit better. I think it looks pretty cool, but I'll show you a bit more of the pot in a minute. Anyway, I thought this is going to be the front here somewhere. I hope front to back it's good enough. I hope the pot's wide enough. It's exactly the same size as the original container, and I purposely made it that way. But now that we're going to swivel it, it could potentially make it wider, and I might have to cut back a bit harder than I would like. But anyway, out the front here, this one here is curled back a lot, and you can see this ugly bit of branch where the wire's cut in, which I'm not fussed about the wire marks, because eventually they'll grow out and bark up just like the rest. But I think it would actually look better if that was pulled, down and out a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a screw in here. Just screw it into the wood. Okay. Let's put the screw in. I have to find a bit of wire, which surprise, surprise, I have not organised. Open. Okay. Yes, found a nice easy bit close by. So there we go. I'll see what that's long enough. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to put that. I do need to put protective plastic around. Hang on. I'm just going to the back of the shed to go and get some plastic. Okay. When you've got a tree like this, don't get lazy and skimp on things, you know? Do it all properly. Sometimes, you know, in the spur of the moment while I'm making a video, I do get a bit lazy and do things, you know, bad. But I shouldn't. You know, everything that I work on is pretty well on a video, so maybe occasionally I should try to work on a tree without doing a video, but I don't want you guys to miss out on what's going on around the place. Now that wire's not long enough, so gonna have to work something out there. Bit of a join. Yeah, so, you know, I always feel like I'm in a bit of a rush doing a video because I don't want it to drag on too much, but it does drag on pretty well anyway. But yeah, don't take shortcuts. Bonsai is not about shortcuts, it's about having fun and doing it all properly. So we're just going to use a guide wire. It's got that plastic tubing to protect the branch, and we're literally just going to pull it down forward there. Not overly, because we don't want to completely cover that deadwood feature, but we don't want to see the whole, you know, wire marked branch all the way up. And we'll just make an effort to always keep this front of the tree open. It's just, I don't know what you guys think, but I'm actually really excited about this tree. Just really, really excited. Like the flare on the bottom, the fatness of it, you know. I know, you know, fat trees have gone a little bit out of flavour at the moment, but this one here is really looking cool, you know. It's really fat, quite short. I'll let it get a bit taller as time goes on. You can see the deadwood up there. But all the hollows and stuff in here. Just pretty excited about it. I really want to get it in that pot and have a look. So, you know, I think that's all that's going to happen with that part of it. Let's get it in that pot. Trim off a couple of long shoots that I probably didn't trim last year. Probably forgot. And with the olive, you know, I'll explain it more when I trim it again, but with the olive I like to try to keep more upright growth, you know. I don't want to have things hanging down like a pine. And over time, these branches will grow up and the leaves in there will get pretty well taken out as branches grow. And when the leaves there get taken out and more branches grow up here, you'll end up with a full branch structure showing, and it'll show the deadwood more over time. But this is a work in progress, you know, so can't do it all at once. It's going to take time. But look at the size of that face. My God, man. Could not afford a pot for that thing, so homemade pool table pot is what it is. So on that note, let's sit down, have a beer, and the next frame you'll see, at least that one opened up properly, the next frame you'll see some pot on the table and me lifting the tree in the pot. Cheers, and I'll catch you in a sec. G'day guys, well, here we are with the pot. I've just got to cut some screen for it, put some soil in the bottom. Now, I'll show you one thing. If you guys were really astute, you would have noticed during the hyperlapse, I cut some holes in the bottom for drainage, and I literally just use the angle grinder. You know, who says holes have to be round? They're square, and because it's such a big pot, we can have such a massive drainage, doesn't matter. So I'll just cut some screens here. I'm not going to wire them in, I'm just going to pour the soil on top. Okay, I want them big enough that they, you know, overlap the sides. Just sit them in to another one on the other side. Okay, and I may even double it up, you know. So we have twice as fine a mesh, I guess you could say, if I double it up. Because this gutter guard is not overly fine, and some bugs can still get in the middle. So, alright, we've doubled up the mesh here. Going to get our cactus and succulent mix out. Mainly because if you know, had bonsai mix for a pot this big, it cost you as much as the pot, well more, because this pot was only $6.50, I think it worked out to in the end. $6.50. Okay, that's enough soil in the bottom, and like I say, that soil looks no different to the actual bonsai soil. And now we are gonna, well, did I put too much? I think I did. Put some back in the container, back in the bag. I want to try and get the tree, olive tree, as deep as I can in this pot. Okay, I don't want it to be too mounded up, but at the same time, if it has to be, it has to be, you know. So what we'll do, it's not overly heavy really, it's just awkward to try and grab it without hurting the tree. So, you know, that's that. Is it going to fit in there? Yeah, but not well, you know. So what I might do first is trim off some more roots here, because this is where the pressure point's going to be. And hopefully the tree doesn't care too much. There's not a lot of roots coming off here really, but you know, it's what has to happen if I want it to be on the angle that I want it at. Otherwise we're going to have to settle for a different angle, but I really quite like the angle that we've already chosen. Well, that I've chosen. Some of you guys maybe disagree, who knows, and you might have liked something else better, and that's completely up to you, personal preference. So I'm going to cut the back the same, cut it in pretty hard right where it's going to be hitting the side of the pot. I just hope that she fits. Like I said, it fit in that plastic pot before, and it would fit in this one fine. It's just that we want to slightly change the angle, which is actually putting some of the width of the base, instead of being left to right, some of the width of the base is actually going to be turning, you know, back to front as well. So the back to front is going to increase. So let's try that. Okay, so she's in a lot better this time. I'm just Just come and have a look where we want this thing. You know, we're not bad at that. We're not bad. Yeah, I'm pretty happy. Just stand back because, you know, it's going to be like this for a while. It's that. If we go slightly back. Yeah, I mean, slightly back's good too. I'm pretty happy with that. Pretty happy with that. In person you can see more detail. The camera, you know, my camera is a piece of crap. It's just a phone. So it doesn't show the detail that you can see when you're right here looking at it. And I'm sorry about that, but eventually I hope to upgrade, I do. But for now, you know, the phone is, you know, it is what it is with just a phone. So now let's put some soil in and around those roots. Pretty happy. It fits pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty happy with that. I don't want to overfill the pot too much. I want to create, hopefully, a nice level of moss, reasonably flat with the pot for once, because most of my trees are mounded up just because I can't seem to find big enough pots for my trees. And it would be really nice if for once I can have a nice flat, you know, billiard table, get the joke, top to this planting. Bit of a dad joke there for you guys. You're going to have a billiard table flat on top, which will add, you know, hopefully add something to the whole planting. Like I say, we're not going to expose the small roots for now. We're going to cover them, but you'll be able to see more root flare than what we could earlier, for sure. Generally I don't get chopsticks and stuff out. I just push it in with my fingers. It's a lot quicker, and to be honest, when I've repotted, I've never ever in my life seen an air pocket under a tree. It just never happened. So, you know, for me, I think it's unnecessary. Probably necessary on maybe a different type of a root system where you've got a big, heavy couple of roots going out, and it can potentially hold some pockets under there. But for me, I do this flat cut on the olives, and then they grow nice fine roots out in a radial, you know, radial sort of position array, and you know, you don't end up with an air pocket. And I don't fully clean out all my roots either. I always leave some good part of the original soil in there, because I just don't believe in going so hard on a root system. And I've done it in the past where I've gone hard on an olive. Not from collection, like I say, from collection you can go as hard as you like on an olive, but repotting, no, you cannot go ridiculously hard on an olive. They're a hardy tree. It will survive it, don't get me wrong, but it'll grow slow, it'll struggle, some leaves will drop off for sure, because I've had it in the past, and it'll be a year before that tree comes back, and that's no joke. Not joking, not lying, that's for real. Once you've got a tree that's in a pot, then when you start repotting it, be nice to it. Originally, yeah, you can flat cut it, no roots at all, 0 roots, which is what this one was, which is why when I did that, you know, cake off the bottom, I can cut a cake off the bottom fairly close to the roots and it's all good. Okay, pretty happy with that. Got it fairly flat. Just put a little bit around some of the exposed roots. And keep the rest of the pot quite flat. Right, so that's that done. The last thing to do is let's get some moss on this girl. So we're just going to put some nice moss in and around. I'll use some of the old moss here. Alright, get up there, spider, before you get squashed. Mind you, it is a male redback. I don't think they're that harmful. I actually think if you get bitten by a redback, I think the advice is just, you know, a watch and act type thing. They're not even that bad. We'll get the air compressor out later and clean the edge there. Alright, well that's it for that. Let's get some other moss. Stuff that I collected earlier. And like I say, moss is getting a little bit hard to find because I haven't had rain for 2 weeks. We're in the middle of, well, not in the middle, we're coming out of winter, but our springs are meant to be wet as well. And you know, so far this, well, late winter, it's been a little bit dry, but last month we had good rain, so I can't complain too much. Just be nice to get a bit more, that's all. But anyway, the moss is drying out around the yard. Before you could just go and walk around any corner and just pick it up. Now it's becoming harder to find. So I'm going to moss this whole tree right around. I might do it all on hyperlapse because it takes a little while. And I've got nothing to say at the moment, nothing to say. G'day, welcome back. Well, still getting through a few beers. I've had a lot of fun tonight after work on a Friday. Mainly just the fact of getting this beautiful tree into a pot. Might not be the most beautiful pot, but you know, in time to come it'll be a sentimental pot because I made it out of the old pool table. And the whole pool table was stuffed, so pool table tops are not that bad to get hold of. Just got to find someone with a broken down pool table that doesn't want to fix it. But they are heavy. I tell you what, they are really heavy. I carried the whole pool table top on my own into a trailer and took it home. Man, it was heavy. But anyway, don't worry about the pool table top. Fact is, we got a pot. I've put the grooves and stuff in the pot to try and make it look a little bit more natural and make it look, you know, a bit more rugged like the tree. I've given it a bit of a water. We'll give it a bit more. Water the moss, water the tree. Just super excited to see this tree after 5 years, 6 years after collection finally hitting a pot. We've got a good, reasonably good front to it now. I think we're able to turn it enough to fit it in this pot. Yeah, just super excited, guys. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you can see some of the detail. I know it's hard to see exactly because you're not in person, but really excited, really happy. I'll give you guys a spin on the way out, but in the meantime, cheers for watching Aussie Bonsai Bloke. Have a ton, have some fun. Bloody beauty. So, anyway, please like, share, subscribe. Tell your mates about the channel. Comment. Love reading your comments. Love replying to them all. Just love this tree at the moment. Right now, because this is the one I'm working on, it's my favourite tree. To think I was going to sell this one to someone for $600, and they didn't. They thought that was overpriced. Now look at it. I think it's worth every cent. No worries. Cheers. I'll give you a spin on the way out. You guys have a good day. Have fun with your bonsai. Love your bonsai. And just, you know, have fun. Cheers. And I'll catch you next time. Cheers.